All right, hello. We're here in another area of Goose Creek State Park. This is an area that we think, or actually we know from photos, used to look like the other forested wetland that I showed you earlier. So there used to be a lot more trees here, a lot more live trees, but what you can see now is that the canopy is completely opened, and if you look around you can see some shrubs, but primarily what you see are dead standing trees, what we call snags. The reason why this is not a forested wetland anymore was because during the late 90s there were a series of hurricanes that hit this area. Those hurricanes caused a lot of salinity in the Tar-Pamlico River, which is down gradient from here, and that salinity came up and got stuck in this area. That salinity eventually kind of flowed out, but it was here for long enough that it killed the trees. And it was a series of sequential hurricanes that came by and brought salinity that caused the mortality of the majority of the trees here and caused this area to open up and create what we now call a ghost forest. You can see that these dead standing trees, a lot of them have lost their bark, and because they've lost their bark, they look kind of pale whitish. And from that whitish is that people think they kind of look like ghosts. That's why they call these areas ghost forests. We know that this happened over about a decade was how long it took the trees to die. But this is happening here, and it's happening in many other areas of North Carolina. And so we've been studying, trying to understand what are the consequences of this, why is it happening, and what, if anything, can we do about it? Here you can see that as the trees die, one of the questions we've been wondering about is what happens to all that carbon. There used to be a lot of carbon stored in that biomass. So the trees die, they fall over, they decompose. What happens to all that carbon? A good portion of it, as it decomposes, goes back into the atmosphere. So that's one of the things that we worry about, that this could be a positive feedback mechanism to climate change when you're releasing all that carbon back into the atmosphere. Carbon that would have been in those trees for, hundreds, maybe thousands of years, depending on the species of trees that were there. Thank you, and I hope you keep exploring this area.